Hey everyone, hope everything is going well. Okay, today I want to discuss once again Spiegel Brothers lawsuit, and I'm going to ask questions, high-end manipulation, how rampant it is. We need to ask questions rather than like look the other way because if you don't do that, then guess what? More Hankus Pankus goes on and all of that. Anyways, look at or I'm looking at one of the stories on my Instagram, and I covered this in the last video. I covered the Spiegel Brothers lawsuit last night again. Guess who won? It was Shine 150. We know his rap sheet. Don't need to discuss this over and over again. But it went for $432,000. I was sent this information. And then I was doing, some videos on it, like I said, and then I got a comment because I was talking about Diddy, I was talking about blackmail, I was talking about Ruben, it's touchy grabby with these rappers, which I thought was a bit strange. But and what I was saying is like I don't care what consenting adults do. However, if there's blackmail, that's what I'm usually looking at, thinking about. If there's blackmail involved, like with Diddy, we have problems. Is there blackmail involved in this hobby? Where, and then I asked, where's the origination of funds coming in terms of high-end sports cards? Money laundering? The feds. These are just questions, right? A lot of people are not going to touch this. So that's why I ask these questions, you know? And some people will be like, well, a lot of people can't talk about it because they don't know beyond 100% doubt. But we could still ask questions, right? That's what I do. I'm not an investigative journalist or anything like that. Then I saw, I think his name is Eric, VVG Club. And I don't know if you know who he is. He's a video game guy, high-end guy. And he seemed to have a lot of fun at the Holy Grails auction. He's pictured there with Meek Mill and all of that. So, yeah, he's involved in that. We clearly don't agree, but I think this is a good topic to discuss. And I'm gonna go over it here. And then he says AI sports has always too many questions and so few answers. If you shoot conspiracies in the dark for long enough, one might hit hard porn. And that one hit might get your head big, like you are a talented investigative journalist. I consider myself just a YouTuber. Now you're just endlessly calling out smoke and hoping to catch another fire. Of course, there's shadiness in the hobby, but how about wait to make a video once you have some substantiated facts and not just a ton of, isn't that weird? The thing is, when I do these videos, I compile all these weird things that go on. And then over time, I could do even a bigger video. And in those videos that I do, I compile a bunch of, like I said, weird things. So what happens is in the bigger video that I make, I could reference those small videos that I made that some people will be like, why are you doing this? Well, hey, look, I could take that research that I did and use it moving forward. And, some of these videos are like 10, 15 minutes long. And I've compiled the small details. When you're an accountant, you have to pay attention to very small detail, and that's how I do it through videos. Some people do it through other means. They may do it through, notes, email, whatever. I prefer video form. Sometimes I do it in Instagram too, if it's not too long. And, I could reference it, but it's harder to reference on Instagram stories than, going through YouTube because I have to go through each archive and I do a lot of stories on Instagram. And then I talked about Shine. He did another story. We all applaud you for pulling up Shine's public rap sheet from Google, but stop trying to use that as fuel for every conspiracy theory that pops in my head. I mean, I could get into conspiracy theories. I mean, I could talk about, Larry Silverstein talking about pulling Building 7. I could talk about the pandemic. I could talk about, false flag operation. I could go down that rabbit hole. But for the sake of this video, I'm not. So, but then I asked in the story, is this a conspiracy theory? It's right from the Spiegel brothers lawsuit. And we could go to that over here. And you have, let's go to Allen, Matthew Allen. Let's see this. Doctor. There's a subpoena of a doctor, okay? Right? You could look at this again. Read this over. After this call, Allen's attorney started calling California doctor routinely. And is a guy that you shine. Allen is shine. There's no reason that Allen should have even known that the Spiegel issued a subpoena to the California doctor, as a subpoena is not public. And then ultimately, the California doctor produced a corporate flowchart with a few text messages that shows Allen as the head of Golden's private sales department. The flowchart is shown below. This is an illegal document. Is this a crackpot conspiracy theory? Well, no. This is from the lawsuit. So, that's why I'm very interested in what this lawsuit holds. And in terms of, manipulation, I'll get back to, potential high-end manipulation, but like low-end manipulation, I mean, you could look at someone like Jeff Wilson, where Jeff Wilson was being weird with the Star 84 card. He said that number one, he didn't sell the card, but then we found out he did sell the card, but he couldn't say he sold the card because it's a private sale. So then why go on your Instagram channel saying it's a $144,000 gain, but you had already sold the card, but then you had bought another card at a different time frame? Like this is like manipulation of the mind in my interpretation. Like this is what great curator does. He manipulates the mind of his audience. He says, "Oh, well, I think I bought the card for 2,400 bucks, but he bought the card for about 1,600 bucks. I've covered this, okay?" That's lower level manipulation. That's like deception through the mind. Now, high-end manipulation, and I look at price action in the stock market every day. I look for arbitrage opportunities. I look at Bollinger Bands. If it's above the upper Bollinger Band, I may want to short it. If it's below the lower Bollinger Band, I may want to buy it. And, there's a lot of volume in the stock market. In this market, though, the sports card hobby market, there isn't too much volume. And when there isn't too much volume, aka no liquidity compared to the stocks, there's room for rampant hankus pankus, rampant manipulation. And, going back to this lawsuit from the Spiegel brothers, let's go here. Okay. This is a long lawsuit. This was filed in May. And if people don't remember, Card Porn was one of the individuals that convinced Ken Golden to remove the Spiegel Brothers card from the auction, right? And this just created a firestorm. And we know that Card Porn has photoshopped items in the past, and now he's no longer involved in this hobby. But look at the wording here. Card Porn admits in message exchange that his editing team, who's part of his editing team, by the way, had to manipulate the crap out of the alleged white patch image to get the signatures to line up on the LeBron James RPA card. And the alleged white patch image appears to be a Photoshop version of a 2007 image of the LeBron James RPA card prior to being graded. Okay. There's one line item where they use the term manipulate, and then they used let's go tier manipulation. Okay. Let's go to line 120. The burden on Allen, aka Shine 150, is minimal at best. He can pull data directly from Meta for Instagram messages, and he could pull other text messages and social media messages from his phone using different software. To the extent there is a superficial burden, Allen could have avoided that burden by not injecting himself into the process to convince through gathering and even manipulating information to be fed to card porn, Michael Kramer, Wax Museum, and Golden, the public that Spiegels were clowns who needed to be blacklisted from the hobby, and to convince Golden to add another layer of taint to their card. Okay. Talking about what the Spiegel brothers believe and the evidence that they've come up with. They believe that Allen, with card porn, with looks like maybe Michael Kramer, they had information that probably wasn't true. They gave it to Golden. Golden took it off. And it was a LeBron James RPA card. And if you go back to this, by the way, let's see the story, right? This is another card that this guy bought, Shine 150. Okay. There's manipulation here to take down the Spiegel Brothers card. And then on the other hand, you have Matthew Allen, you know, buying up another one of these cards. And then on top of it, do we know the origination of the funds where Matthew Allen's able to get it? Because I have another story, right? I'm not a big government guy. However, there's something called the Patriot Act. Brokerages, futures, derivatives companies need to do diligence on the origination of the funds. It seems like auction houses in this industry may be looking the other way to these rules. Okay. Because, like, look, if you have a background of trafficking drugs, would you be able, in a very short time frame, go to one of these companies and be like, yo, I want to open up a trading account? I don't know if that would be possible. Maybe, maybe not. But you have to do due diligence. Where are the funds coming from? Where's all that? They have to do an AML compliance check, right? These auction houses, I can probably assume that they don't have a strong compliance department, these auction houses. And it's legitimate to ask the question, or it's all right to ask the question, hey, look, are his funds legit? And if they're not, like, what is going on? And it couldn't be legit. You know, maybe he has an export import business where he's making millions of dollars, but it just seems strange that you got a guy, LeBron James, RPA. In this lawsuit, it talks about Matthew Allen has a bunch of these cards. And does it seem that, a bunch of these guys want to corner the market because they have such a large amount of these cards? And by the way, some of these cards are trimmed, and the individual that has trimmed them is, I think, the guy running Buy Nice Cards. He's been accused of trimming a bunch of these LeBron James RPA cards. So this is just a crazy story, and it keeps on getting crazier. I'm, one of the few people that have continuously followed up on the story. And it's legit to ask these questions. And then two, like, what is what type of manipulation is going on the high end? How many people have backgrounds where they should not be allowed to buy through these auction houses, but are buying through these auction houses? And the sources of funds, how do we know how many high-end cards are legit pricing wise? Like in the stock market, like I said, I trade. You could go to my AIH Finance. No, I put, stocks that I want to trade to the upside, trade to the downside, even though the fundamentals of the economy haven't changed for me, which I've discussed in previous videos. You could tell, okay, there's volume, millions of shares traded. Okay, that's a market. What we here have here in the sports card hobby, this is a hinkus pinkus market. Like if you are in the high end, like number one, why would you want to deal with it, especially at this point where we have all this stuff going on? 67 years ago, yeah, shadiness going on, but prices were affordable at that point. And then the pandemic happened, PPP happened, potential money launderers involved in this hobby. That's when things went crazy. Things were shut down. So it is what it is. More food for thought. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory, but hey, look, someone needs to cover these stories because, it gets swept underneath the rug if you don't. And I will continue to do so. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on this manipulation, no manipulation, or a little bit. How do you come up with price discovery in these weird markets? Let me know. Talk to you later.